Jeg hedder Camilla, som Ross siger. Hey, I will actually switch to English so that you know what I'm saying. Yes. I'm Camilla. I'm a project coordinator at LØS, which is the Danish Association of Ecovillages, Landsforeningen for Økosamfund. And what I normally say is that in the ecovillage world, we are one big family. So even if I live in a small ecovillage in Ringsted, and where we all feel that we are cozy together in our cozy eco houses, we do belong to a big family. So when something's happening in one part of the world, it also matters to us. So in LØS, we've been working together with Ukraine, Gen Ukraine, representatives here today, for the last 5 years. I've been to Ukraine myself several times. The people who sit here today are not new to me. The 3 people that you will hear speaking today have been in Denmark before, which is also the reason why they're here today. So I can say that through our work, we also get a lot of inspiration from Ukraine as one of the fastest growing ecovillage movements in Europe, actually. So now that the war took off, we have a lot of communication, and we were actually the first civil society organization in Denmark to bring in an alert saying, hey, there's a war in Ukraine, and what can we do as normal people in Denmark to support our friends in Ukraine? And fortunately enough, Gaia Trust and Ross helped us for the first 3-4 weeks to get through sending money down to Ukraine to help hosting the internally displaced people in Ukraine. And after that, we were lucky to get 1 million kroner from the Danish Emergency Assistance to show how civil society actors, people to people, ecovillage to ecovillage, can also play a role in the context of war. The president of Gen Ukraine normally says in a war there are 3 roles to take. You can become a soldier, a refugee, or an activist. Tonight we're going to meet activists from Gen Ukraine, the global ecovillage network in Ukraine. And the ones who will be speaking here tonight will be Anton, Olga, and Tamara. And then we have also Alicia and Tatjana, who is part of the team. So I'll not take more time here, but leave the space for the Gen Ukraine activists who are right here with us tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I love it. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you here in this beautiful location, and we are sending a lot of greetings and thank you to Ross to host this event here. And my name is Anton. I came from Ukraine 12th of March here. But I was here, as Camilla said, 2 years ago. We did a beautiful, amazing festival in the Fun Island. And today we're going to speak about what we actually do as activists through the perspective and through the eyes of eco-villages in Ukraine. And what is the connection between Denmark and Ukraine in this perspective. So I would like to tell a little bit more about my team. They're also going to participate, and they're going to add a lot of their own stories, a lot of their own emotions. And it's not a funny event, actually, to speak about, but we try our best. And it's very important for us to show you a message that we prepared today, and to see how we can be strong together in terms of war in Ukraine. A little bit history of Ukraine and eco-villages in Ukraine. So you see, Ukraine is blue and Denmark is pink. So Ukraine is 30 times bigger than Denmark, and 13, sorry, 1-3. And we have Kiev, which is the biggest city in Ukraine, and it has 6 million people living there. So like in the whole Denmark. And we are having a lot of different big cities on the east of Ukraine, like Kharkiv, Donetsk. We have in the central, like Kryvyi Rih, Dnipropetrovsk. We have Kiev, when we have also Lviv and Odessa. I'm originally from Kiev area, in a suburb of Kiev, and Olga lives also close to Kiev. Tamara lives in Odessa. Olesha lives in Kiev, and Tatiana also live close to Kiev. I'm personally not living in Ecovillage, but I am an active member of Gen Ukraine, and we do a lot of work there before the war started. We organized different kind of festivals. I also was a part of EDE course, Ecovillage Design Education course that Gaia Education provide. It was happening first time in Ukraine in 2020. And I sometimes connect myself to a community that really close to Kiev area, and we have a rewilding project there. So we have a land where we try to build common house, we try to regenerate all the nature that we have there, and it's quite interesting, but it's not like I'm full-time living there. Yeah, girls, would you like to add something from your... Okay, okay. So historical background of eco-villages that we had during centuries. You see here two biggest movement that we had in Ukraine in 19th century. It's prosvita, which is called, if you translate it in Danish, it's a højskole. And we have it in 19th century as well as you have it right now here. And it was a huge community of scientists, people who gathered around knowledge, and they were hungry to receive all the knowledge from Europe, from all over the world. And another one is Nipluev Orthodox Brotherhood. In 19th century, there was a big community living together and working together. They have common values. As you know, eco-villages have 4 different dimensions: ecological, social, economical, and worldview or spiritual dimension. And that two community, they have all these 4 dimensions in 19th century already. We are very close to Denmark because Ukrainian, you know Vikings, right? They go around the world, yes. And a lot of Vikings was settling in Ukraine during that time. And also we have a little bit feminine connection because 3 Ukrainian princes was married with Danish kings and prince as well. Yeah, so what we had before the war started, our community, Global Ecovillage Network, yes?
Can you just
yes, yes, please.
Yeah. I just wanted to add a little bit why we have this parallel with Højskole. This concept of Bildung, the German concept of education that started in Germany and then developed in Denmark and in Scandinavia to a Højskole, we actually had it in Ukraine in these years. So that's why those prosvita and this brotherhoods, they appear there, because we also were agricultural country, and still sure. And we also thought about this, start to thinking about developing knowledge in the simple people, like in the villages. And unfortunately, the Soviet Union, when it came, it's just completely destroyed all this beginning, because the Ukrainian elite, the pro-Ukrainian elite, they couldn't survive in this new regime. So then they are free to Canada, to Europe. That's why this really important route of democracy and developing, it was kind of destroyed at that time. But at some point, we were really close to each other in the same stage of developing.
Yeah, thank you. So, Olga, you want to?
Okay. About Gen Ukraine and how it all started. Basically, there were different factors that influenced the development of Ecovillage network in Ukraine. But there was one man who's called Maxim Zalewski, who is the president of our network, but like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, he wasn't. It was just a man who was really inspired to get to know more about sustainability, about community life, and he started traveling around the world, visiting different communities, meeting Camila and other people from the eco-village world, and getting really inspired. And he started to find other people in Ukraine who already were kind of in topic of eco-villages and connect the different dots into one figure. And so in 2018, the NGO, which is called Gen Ukraine, was founded. And I will skip all the different events and processes that were going on during those 4 years before this year. But just before the war, I actually want to mention one thing that brought us all together. Not maybe us all, but the three of us. The EDE course that we had, that Gen Ukraine organized. EDE course is a month-long offline program that educated us to create eco-villages, eco-communities from 4 different dimensions, and that Ross contributed a lot to the curriculum of this program. That's how I and Anton, Tanya, and I met. And just before the war, like 4 months, we had really nice dynamics inside the organization. We had a Ukrainian eco-village gathering. We visited Denmark for the Baltic Eco-Village Network seminar gathering. We were planning to organize one more EDE course in summer this year, but then suddenly everything went sideways.
Yeah.
That is it.
So, yeah, you can take it because it's for recording. So you can pass it to the girls. Yeah. So what is this project about that we would like to tell you? It's called Green Road Project. So on this first day of the war, Camila called Maxim. Maybe you would like to add something. Okay. And it's like, Max, how it's going on? What is happening? And from the first day of war, we start receiving a lot of internal displacement people in Ukraine into eco-villages. And there is urgent, imagine the community is 12 people living together, and then 100 people came. So where they can sleep, where they can eat, what they're gonna do. It's a huge movement. And that's how our movement, Gen Ukraine organization, start doing this Green Road project. It starts from Ukraine, actually. You see on the map, it's all eco-communities that right now hosting around 2,000 people. And it's extending actually to the Europe, and it's going all over the world right now. So everyone who would like to receive Ukrainians, they just pin themselves on the map with contacts, and people who would like to stay in eco-communities, stay in eco-villages, they just go there and receiving help, support, and calm, peaceful atmosphere. Our Gen Ukraine team is not that big, but very strong. And you see people who are right now in Ukraine. Anastasia, she is also a president of Permaculture organization in Ukraine. Maxim Zalevsky, he is the president of Gen Ukraine. And Irina Kazakova, she is a coordinator between Permaculture and Gen Ukraine. And she's doing a lot of work inside of the organization. And here you see all of us. We are here right now in Denmark, and my personal story, how I came here, it's Camila was calling me as well. And I was so lucky to escape of the war on the 24th of February, where the border was not closed. Right now, situation is looking like that. if official war started in Ukraine, men cannot leave Ukraine because it's not allowed. They need to go on the military service and they need to contribute themselves to the fight. I was lucky because my mom is in Poland and I was taking a train to go to her, and in the same day the war started. So I was around 9 p.m. in the border, crossed the border, and the 25th of February the law started to work. So there's not many men, Ukrainian men, you can meet in Denmark because they are right now fighting on their own side, in our country, but we are also fighting here. We are fighting in a way that we would like to inform, we would like to tell the story, what's going on in Ukraine, through the different perspective, not like you watching the news and TV, but through the Ecovillage movement. And this is our partnership. Why I'm here, why we are all here, Ukrainians, because we have these two beautiful ladies. It's a strong connection between Kamila and Dikta. Dikta is also part of LYOS, and Dikta also was in Ukraine, and she was one of the person who organized EDE course in Ukraine. And we had this connection for 4 years already, from 2018, and it's not like organization to organization, it's more like people to people. Would you like to add something, Kamila?
No, I think for now it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is in short what Green Road project is about. So the war started 24th of February, and 25th, next day, NGO Permaculture Ukraine and NGO Gen Ukraine, they start together to host and to help all the eco communities in Ukraine. Right now we have around 60 communities in Ukraine who are hosting more than 2,000 people. This work is huge, actually. And we would like to tell you a story, what we are doing here in Denmark and what people, our team, doing there in Ukraine. So we were gonna share a lot of different projects, how they look like, and maybe if you would like to contribute somehow, you also can. So this is a short pictures from our eco communities. This is the biggest community in the center of Ukraine, in Dnipropetrovsk area. They're hosting 200 people every day. It's a spiritual community, it's called New Mayapur, and they have all these houses where they can, the capacity is much more bigger than other communities. Also we have, you see the people are having some food together. It's very interesting, maybe some of us who already hosting Ukrainians here in Denmark, we also see a parallel between people who are coming from the cities, as Kamila say, on high heels and never touch the ground in their life. And right now they are settling in eco communities. It's a completely different world for them. And they start new life because some of them cannot come back home because their home are destroyed. So it's a nice way how they can integrate themselves into this community lifestyle. And yes, a lot of statistic. We are doing a weekly report every week, and we have numbers. So right now we have 88 houses that were restored. How they look like? It's imagine a village in Ukraine with rural houses. There no people were living for a long time, and suddenly all these internal displacement people came, and all this community who are around, they try to take this house and repair everything inside, install kitchen, install beds, install places like greenhouses. As you see, 33 wells was digged from the earth and restored for water because there is no water were before, and there's 33 stoves in the houses were restored. We have like old stoves for cooking and for heating whole house. And the water suppliers, and there's a lot of work that people are doing as a community for the people who are resettling from the cities. Why eco-villages and permaculture centers? Because as Ross mentioned before, in 1970s, 60s, there was the idea why we should have eco-communities in the world. They like safe spaces, like islands of hope that can live separately from the whole society and can be self-sustainable, self-sufficient, and build a new education system, a new way of living, not dependent on the government or not dependent on the external world. So the same happened in Ukraine. We are in Ukraine more off-grid communities. We are more rural communities than here. Here is like you have a group of people, you would like to live together, and you go and you buy land, and then you build a house, and then you start to build school, infrastructure, and this and that. In Ukraine, it's happening in a different way. In Ukraine, we have people as well. Everything starts from the people. But in Ukraine, you buy your own land. You don't take a loan from the bank. You install your water. You install your heat system. You do it by yourself with your own money. You don't take any loans from the bank. So it's very important with whom you are doing this, because money makes more stronger connection between people than if you take money from the bank. So it's like, I would love to live with these people, and I contribute this amount of money to build it together. So money also connects people, and in a different way, not like a system way, but people are deciding to live in a community for a long time.
But maybe to add the difference, in Ukraine, usually how people start eco-communities, they just, because in Ukraine, people are moving from rural areas to cities, and a lot of villages now are abandoned. No more people living there. In the village where my grandma lives, there are 3 streets and 1 house, and 3 houses, 1 house in which, in 1 street. So no people, almost no young people living there. So eco-communities, people who want to start that, they just come to these abandoned villages and buy some abandoned houses and then make this community. So they already have houses, they already have place where to, so they should restore it. And how it happens more. So we actually cannot, maybe not so much, cannot create the space how we want. We should use the space what we already have. And because Ukraine is quite big, houses quite far apart, so it's not so easy to be community, because between houses you have distance, and you need some space where to be together, and we don't have this houses, common houses. What we are struggling now with, so it's our.
Maybe you could also add that just before the war started, Maxim, the president of Gen Ukraine, expressed at a conference that what they were missing in the eco-villages in Ukraine was exactly people. People who wanted to move from the cities to the countryside. And now the problem is a little bit opposite.
Yes.
Now people are over-flooding the eco-villages. And now it's a new challenge. Before there were too few people, and now there's a bit too many. And that's also one of the challenges of our project, that the maximum capacity has been reached. 2,000 people to feed them, to find beds for them, to keep them warm, give them clothes, and all these kind of things, because they also lost not only their homes, but also their jobs. So how to actually generate an income. So suddenly I think we also have a little bit of a shock of the reality that we face now, that we have 2,000 people now in the Ukrainian eco-villages that we kind of took responsibility for. And what happens then when the money is gone? And how can we really also in this time also teach these people to grow their own food and not just wait for the food to come in a truck from Denmark and these kind of things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I can add, like, returning to the question, why do people choose in eco-villages? Like, in Ukraine, you will stand before a dilemma right now. What should I do? I want to be in a safe space with my family. And actually, there's no safe space in whole Ukraine. I mean, even the western part, they bombing just chaotically. So what you are doing, you're thinking, okay, I will choose the rural area, like far away from the city, where no infrastructural objects, no army things, like something that you would think and consider safe space in these circumstances. And then you see that, oh, our eco-villages, they are actually in the really rural areas. And there's a community. So, I mean, the community is so important at this time. For me, like before, I just enjoyed spending time on my own in my empty house. Now I cannot be an hour
Yes.
without those guys. I mean, it's so important to have support.
Yeah, so besides of accommodation people, and we're doing a lot of different projects, different activities. We try to build as food security, providing eco-communities with greenhouses. We try to organize playgrounds and safe spaces for the kids to be able not to be dependent on their parents. Even there's like no safe space in the country. And we encourage community to start building a business inside of the community, to be more entrepreneurs in the community, not like depending on the money from outside, but try to build their own responsibility for their own life. So this is one of the example. We provide eco-villages with greenhouses, and it's not just only greenhouse for food. It's also a common labor, common work. The people who are never doing this kind of work in their life, they start to gather together and start to communicate and start to make decisions together. And it's so beautiful how people in this difficult time can cooperate so fast. Also, we have different kind of buildings and growing food together. And one of the, yes, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to take the stage because, no, not this slide. Next. Teplagora.
Teplagora.
Yeah, because this is the community with which I spent a lot of time before the war, and we were making a common project during the EDE course, and I was coming to Teplagora, which is an eco-village in western Ukraine in the Carpathian Mountains with really beautiful sceneries and people and everything. So I was coming there several times. In summer we had camps for volunteers, coming there to just build something, to learn some new skills, to communicate and to recharge their batteries. And the whole idea of the center was to discover sustainable ways to grow food, to cook vegetarian and vegan food, and also to make a rehabilitation center for people who need it in the mountains. Just imagine, it's such an appropriate place for this. And so now, during war times, it happens so that without proper preparation, without proper place, Teplagora decided to also shelter people and offer them some psychological support, some practices, activities together to heal them heal them with the community spirit, and also to provide some ways of further actions, maybe to stay in the community or to move abroad, to just have some rest.
Yeah, thank you. Also, we have rehabilitation centers for kids because it's very important in the time when everything is shaking. The kids are so stick to their parents and they don't want to let them go anywhere, even to take a shower or to cook a food. They would like to be all together close to their parents. So we are organizing with Green Grow. It's a farm where kids can be together and can create a small community together with their parents as well. So we also provide some help for them from Denmark. And we are collecting money. We collected money from here as well. Yeah. So this is our couple of areas of responsibility that we are doing there in Ukraine for refugee people. And also right now we are having numbers, actually, scary numbers. Around 12 eco-communities were in occupied territory, and one still there, the Rainbow Eco-Community. And there are still people. They cannot escape from that area because the roads are blocked. 5 eco-communities was completely destroyed, and you see pictures of the common houses where they host a couple of events, and they right now empty. It's like a completely dead land. And some communities also have a lot of psychological depression, and we would like to show you a video of one of our ambassadors from Denmark, Karaliva. She is living in Halingilili, and she decided to go to Ukraine and help with all this psychological pressure in the war. Tamara, you would like to add something?
Yeah, just about these common houses. The Gen Ukraine used to have festivals there. It was a place where people connected to each other, and now the people are safe. This is the most important, sure. The people from these villages are safe, but they are so broken inside, and that's the part when Karaliva came. She really want to help them to recover with her own special things.
Yes, she is
Danish.
yeah, she is Danish, but
volunteer.
she is also doing a lot of shamanic work as cacao ceremony, rapé, and she heals with this. And we would like to show you a small video about that. Just a second. I will connect speaker.
This first video is about Kuhari and destroyed.
Yeah, it's
Ecovillage.
about this destroyed Ecovillage.
Mm-hmm.
Their visit there.
That's one of the interesting things. Like when you get 1 million from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Denmark, it also comes with a condition that you cannot go to Ukraine and monitor, because you have to be a specialist to enter a war zone. So we couldn't send anyone from Lys. Landsforeningen for Økosamfund could not go to Ukraine under our organization name while we have this funding. But Karoliva came as a volunteer.
Yes.
She was in Poland volunteering. She's part of the Ecovillage movement, and she went as an individual.
Yes. Okay.
This is Karoliva.
Yeah, so Karoliva, you can follow her on Facebook. Her profile is there, and you can read a lot of her own experience and her own stories if you would like to hear more about what she's doing there. And yeah. also, when we came here to Denmark, we do a lot of work here as a Hallingelili community. Hallingelili hosts a family, 3 adults and 7 kids in their common house. And this is the people who are participating in this volunteering group. They also combine their forces together and they do an amazing job there. We also living in Hallingelili right now with Tamara and Alicia. And we collecting some food and some other items from supermarkets in Denmark and shipping this directly to the eco-villages in Ukraine. And maybe Camilla, you would like to add something?
No, I think I just want to say that the work that is happening in Ukraine is also happening in Denmark. We have Tatjana living in Svanholm. We have people living in Mungsegård and Trekroner. We have people living in Herlinglille. We have people living in Aunø. We have people from the Ecovillage movement in Ukraine being hosted in eco-villages in Denmark. But not only in Denmark. Like this family Anton talked about, they went through 4 different eco-villages on their way from Ukraine. 4 different countries, 4 different eco-villages. They even brought me these sandals from Czech Republic where I forgot them 2 years ago. And that shows just the strength of our eco-village movement. If they write to me in the WhatsApp group and say, hey, we are in Bulgaria, find us a place, boom, 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 I can connect to eco-villages from Bulgaria. In 1 hour, I found them a place. And that's how it happens. So every day we get these people writing to us saying that they want to come to Denmark or somewhere else, and we assist them. That's also part of the work that we do. Yes. And when you saw the Green Road in Ukraine with the 60 places, we have like 350 places all over Europe. Which means that when our people from the movement of Jan goes through Poland, they don't need to stay in the very overflooded refugee centers. They can stay in eco-communities all their way through, also in Germany, on their way to Denmark. And I think that's a quite impressive story that really shows how strong the network is in time of crisis.
Yeah. And a couple of pictures how we pack the truck here in Denmark with all these items and how people in Ukraine receive them. It's a direct connection between, you know, it's not like big organization going through all these processes and it's taking a lot of time. We are so direct and very agile in our way how we work with eco communities in Ukraine. And also, yeah. We're also doing a lot of informative work. We are participating in different kind of events, and also this event, it's about this. We are informing people how we are working together from Denmark and Ukraine to Ukraine, all of us. You can follow the, I guess you already know all this website. It's LÖS, which is organization like Jan Ukraine.
We cannot pronounce it.
Yes, we can.
That's the problem.
Yeah. And also we have a lot of different materials from Maxim. We translate all the letters of Maxim during the first months of war, what he experienced, and we translate it into Danish and English. In English, and you also can find it on the Okosam Fund website. Yes.
So Maxim, fortunately, is really gifted in writing, and we often call him the main spokesperson of Gen Ukraine, because right now in these times he shows a lot of things that are happening in our eco-villages on his Facebook page through his posts, and we decided to translate them. Next slide, can we? Yeah. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
So we've translated 10 of his most powerful posts, and I would love to just read one quote, which is very touching and very meaningful personally to me and to all of us. So during lockdown, I once wrote that we spend most of our lives collecting firewood to ignite bonfire of inspiration at some point. And in times of deep crisis, the spark can flare up and become one large flame, 4 years ago, I wrote a manifesto about Ukraine as an international hub of eco-villages between Europe and Asia. We have now become the epicenter of events that ignites the hearts of the whole world.
Yes.
Wow.
It's the most difficult part, and it does not take so much time from you, and I know we're out of time. But how you can help all the communities? We right now have major focuses on our common houses. We try to build common houses in safe areas in Ukraine, and this is what we are planning to do and what we are actually doing right now. If you would like to be a part of this, you can also check our website genukraine.com.ua, and you can find all information there. We also collecting some donations like caravans for people who would like to live in there and have their own spaces with their family. So we are transferring these caravans to Ukraine and to the eco-villages, and they can host people as well.
Yeah, it's just an important thing about personal space. Like Maxim visited this Tepla Hora to recover, and in the morning he put like his mattress and the sleeping bag here, and in the evening he's somewhere else. So because there's so many people, and they like you never know where you will sleep, and you should forget about personal space. So for some families, it's a really quick solution to bring home.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite easy for us to respond very quickly to the needs that we hear from Ukraine. Like, you know, a lot of private people in Denmark, they start their cars and drive down to the border. And some of them, they are very willing to bring a camping wagon after their car. Also, when they told us one morning, ooh, we need water pumps. The next day we had 60 water pumps to send down. And we can send them very direct with all these cars going down all the time. So also here in Denmark, the network is strong. Suddenly a community of people who are helping Ukraine has started off. And I think it's one of the strengths, actually, that this war has also forced in Denmark, that we stand together, all these networks of people, the ones driving, the ones hosting, the ones collecting, we work together as one unit, not depending on which organization we're from. Most people are not even from organizations, they're just people with big hearts and a big car.
Yeah, tents, bicycles, fuel tanks, that's what we urgently needed right now. And Green Road Project, it's a platform where internal displaced people away from home can feel home. And people are gathering together, they're reconstructing old houses, they're becoming a part of the community. It's very important in this time of crisis. They do have some common work together, and we are thinking globally, but we are acting very locally right now. And we are supporting all these communities with our own humanitarian aid and food, but we also need your help if you would like to.
Maybe just to add why it's important, because when maybe you have choice to live in a shelter when you can do like nothing. You just sitting and waiting until somebody will give you food, and you also you have this emotional problems, like psychological problems, because you have traumas and you're sitting and you cannot do like anything. And here in eco-villages, people actually, they can do something, they can take responsibility, they can grow food, they can be a part of a community, and it's so like helpful for their also mental like health. So like, I don't know, Ecovillage network that really helps also with this.
Yeah, so you can follow the Global Ecovillage Network Facebook page. You can also follow Instagram. We also have Green Road Project with this QR code that you can scan and read more about that. We're also collecting money, and we're also doing a lot of internal work that goes directly to Ukrainian eco-villages. And the last but not least, we would like to share what we're gonna do when the war will finish in Ukraine.
Yeah, so this is actually the first post that I wrote after the beginning of the war. and I wrote it on my way to Denmark because I refused to go to Denmark, notwithstanding the fact that we actually had an ongoing collaboration, and I was supposed to leave for Denmark shortly, like after the war started. And so for a month I stayed in Ukraine, and then I left and I wrote this. What will you do when the war is over? Every night before going to bed, I mentally say, tomorrow the war is over. I imagine it, myriads of happy situations and familiar faces, and I slowly fall asleep. I sleep soundly. I was writing about the times when I was still in Ukraine, in Kiev, hearing the explosions 7 kilometers from us. Again, I believe that this night will leave me and those around me to live tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and many years more. That's my mantra. And what will you do when the war is over? So this is the question I would like to ask everybody. And I personally believe that I will have a chance to embrace each member of my family again.
It's too hard to talk.
Yes.
Sorry. Maybe. No.
And we would like also announce our Gen gathering. Yeah, it's very hard to speak about nearest future because you don't know what's going to happen the next day. In 2020, we have Gen gathering. We are also going to be there, and there's gonna be 375 people all over the world, all over the Europe, gathering together and having a big program. And we would like to also participate in this because we are also a part of Gen community all around Europe. Maybe you would like to tell something about this, Camilla.
I can just say that it's a gathering that we hold every year in the European Ecovillage movement, and for the last 2 years due to COVID, it couldn't come on. So this year will be a healing gathering as well, where we meet again after 2 years of absence. When we were going to find a place for the annual Ecovillage gathering, Gen Ukraine said we want to host it. That was long before the war. At that time, we were like, these Gen Ukraine people, they are still young. They're not an old network. They're very new. So let's give them a few years. Well, they got some few years, but by other reasons. But this year, we will organize it in Denmark. It's Gen Europe organizing, together with LØS, the National Association of Ecovillages, and together with Gen Ukraine. Because Gen Ukraine, we will have a Gen gathering in Ukraine at some point. So Gen Ukraine members will come from Ukraine, also the team who is here. They're already part of the organizing team. So it's a joint venture between the Global Ecovillage Network Europe, the Gen Ukraine, and the LØS, with the host of Ananda Gauri in V. And it's an open invitation for everybody to join. It's not often this conference will be in Denmark. It was last time, 12 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. My first Gen gathering ever was in Svanholm in Denmark. It was supposed to be in Svanholm again this year, actually, but they backed out, and now Ananda Gauri has taken over. So this year, the presence of Gen Ukraine hopefully will be massive. We are trying to get 25 volunteers from Gen Ukraine to come and be part of putting up the whole event. And we also invited the core team. Even they are busy running their projects in Ukraine, it's important that we also bring them to the main stage in Denmark this summer. So this is just an open invitation for everybody to join in for the gathering this year in the beginning of July here in Denmark.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so following our tradition, we now have until 9:30 for a dialogue. And at 9:30, we go back where we started and have some coffee and cakes for half an hour, if you wish. If you don't wish, you're welcome to go home at 9:30. So, Who would like to open up with a comment or questions for our guests? Well, don't be shy. Yes.
Yeah. I would like to start then. Just say that I feel very much thought about Ecovillage for 40 years, known about this 20, this decade here that things fantastic happen, and know that Ecovillage play a very, 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 very important thing in progress of humanity worldwide. And for me, it is Ecovillage and the people there is the heart of the goal. That's what I'm so happy to feel. It is it's deep in the core of development of humanity worldwide, what's going on now. That's really what it's all about. And, I feel very much with it. So in the pain there is a deep, deep purpose for all humanity. What's going on, and we carry a lot of burden there, and yeah, so we just want to live and make sure that our heart, there is only one heart.
Thank you, Pierre. Yeah? Yeah, it could be that after many years of expecting eventually that the Ecovillage movement would play an active role in the evolution, it seems to be happening now. They found a justification for their existence, and I think that's a very important turning point. Yeah. I have one question, if nobody else wants to one. I was just thinking, having 200 people arrive in an Ecovillage of 20 or so creates some enormous organizational problems, and especially if they're going to stay there a little longer. And I'm wondering what sort of thoughts have you had around the question of how you organize people in decision-making processes? How are you going to make sure that it doesn't turn into total chaos? But at the same time, you don't want it to be a hierarchical dictatorship. So how do you solve that problem?
We have circles. Green Tepla Hora, hosting right now. Yeah. Yeah, I have a mic. Yeah. So Tepla Hora also facing these difficulties. When the people start to come and people have, different emotions, and some of them would like to stay a long time, some of them is just passing through this community. So what they did firstly, they had the circles. They share, and it's about reconnecting with yourself. It's about reconnecting with your needs, and also it's about respect, and also to hear each other. It's about to grow together, and they have actually a rule in Tepla Hora, so the people can stay only 30 days, and if they would like to stay longer, so they need to work for the community. And and it's very difficult to host all these different emotions together, fear and loss and frustration. So the core team of the community, they became more stronger even during this time. So it's like they introduce their community to the people, and actually it's not like a random people, like just going through the eco community. It's like friend of friend, or some person who already knew about this community and Green Road project. So they already have they already have idea where they're going actually.
But
Yeah.
there are some also interesting cases. I think it was in Tepla Gora also, like when another eco-village, because they're under occupation, like another eco-village coming to an eco-village. And they have a different values. Yeah, they are kind of like-minded people, they are supporting the same ideas, but their core rules are different. And that's a case where two eco-villages becoming one. And sure, a lot of conflicts arise, but it's so important for us now to document all of this, because this development is huge and super fast in time of crisis. So for us, as part of Gen Ukraine here, we're trying to collect this information, to gather all the things. So we also, because why we are starting to create a movie right now. Like we have a tour, Maxim and Karoliva from Denmark, they have a tour now, these days, through Ukrainian eco-villages. They are sheltering people right now. And they document this. I mean, because this information is so precious. And yeah, we would not answer a question like how we deal with the conflicts, because it's a lot of them, sure. Yeah. And it's happening right now. So we are learning by doing.
Yes.
When we get 1 million kroner from the Danish Emergency Fund, it's for blankets and soup. It's not for healing and education and reconstruction and greenhouses. They're very, very strict about that. You can give emergency assistance for 3 months, nothing more. So this money also has a stop, and it's only for blankets and soup. And that's what the Gen Ukraine is also saying, that yes, in the beginning we were providing blankets for people, for them to sleep, heat stoves, stuff so they could keep warm. Now the eco-villages are asking for conflict mediators. They are asking for healing powers. The needs have changed from the very beginning. And I think that's also because the project changed. The Greed Road was supposed to be a road where people could seek shelter for 1, 2, 3 days on their way to the border. Here's the case that the project has transformed into this creating a home away from home. People are not refugees anymore. They are community people. They are being integrated in the communities, and they have chosen to stay in Ukraine. And I think that's where our intervention is very strong, that it's an intervention that actually focuses very much on how to provide homes for people in Ukraine, to let them stay, to let them learn skills, to let them be part of the reconstruction. And I think that's again back to what Maxim says. You can choose to become a soldier, a refugee, or an activist. And I think most of the people who are right now in the eco-villages in Ukraine, I think we can call them activists. There are not many men. There are a lot of women. They are alone now. So when the children are clinging to their parents, they're clinging to one parent, to one mother. So that's also what Karoliva is saying, send some men to Ukraine. Help them to build beds, to restore houses, because all the men are fighting in the war. So I think we have a big task ahead of us, and I think that's where I think our close relations and our willingness to help will really stand its test when we are going to reconstruct Ukraine together, how we will be there to support.
Maybe I want to add how Gen Ukraine, like doing this, try to help, because I was a witness how Irina, our coordinator, was speaking with these eco-villages, and now they should learn very fast how to be a community. And many of them, they don't, because also new people just came, they don't know what they want, what they need, what's their future, they don't have any plans. And Gen Ukraine supporting more those who already have some idea, some future plans, and we decided, okay, these people we support more because they already know what they want. Because now we have some funny moments when we are asking, we can support you with this amount of food. Please write down what do you need, what grain, or maybe some vegetables, or some beans. And people just saying, oh, we don't know, we eat a lot of beetroot, but we don't know how many. Can you count for us? Can you just but how we should know how many beetroot you eat? What do you need? You should know your needs. And in this case, they should learn really fast to understand and maybe to create
to cooperate.
and to understand their needs. So it's also
take some responsibility.
yes,
Mhm.
and take some responsibility, because many of them are like still like kids, especially in this, like when they're scared and they think, yeah, somebody will take care of me and just wait. But no, in Ecovillage system you cannot do like this. You should take responsibility. So it's a time to be really fast.
But I think also what we see now is that Gen Ukraine, who was before like a sustainability movement, running courses and trainings, providing resources on permaculture, now they are an emergency relief organization. And they had to be like that from day one. And the same with Løs in Denmark. We're not used to send things to Ukraine. We're not used to provide people with water pumps. It's a totally new role, both for Gen Ukraine and for Løs in Denmark, how we will navigate in this. And suddenly to receive 1 million of kroner for emergency assistance, it's also new. It comes with a lot of conditions. I have to sit and look at this Excel sheet every third day and monitor and send it back to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And we have to show that we have 3 people who will be there and be the stable powers in Gen Ukraine to be able to monitor and distribute this funding and these kind of things. So it's a new role for all of us in Løs and in Gen Ukraine to suddenly have another hat on our organizational tasks.
I'm really glad to hear that you're documenting everything, because this war is unique in history, being watched on television every night over the entire world. The first time ever. The next closest maybe was Vietnam, but that was on a much different scale in terms of the communication. And I'm sure historians and sociologists are going to be very, very interested in the kind of material that you're producing, in trying to find out exactly what was going on in this very historic period. Okay, some more comments, questions? Yeah.
Yes, I can't even begin to imagine what thoughts and emotions you've been through these past 4 months. And I'm just curious to hear from some of you how these months have affected your outlook on your own lives. Have there been any changes? Have you had some insights that have changed how you look at your life?
Just months of war or our months being here?
The past month since the invasion, and how has it affected you personally and your outlook on your life?
I'm not sure that I can answer it, because I think I'm still in like my trauma stage. When I was in Ukraine, actually I was in Kyiv, and first 10 days were really, really hard, and I was really, really scared. And then I started to get used to it. And when I saw other cities that were bombed, like heavily bombed, I felt, okay, I'm in Kyiv, and Kyiv is the capital, and they will protect it as much as they can. So I'm in quite in safe space. So I started to be like more optimistic, and people were asking me, like my friends also from Denmark, how are you? What are you doing? Like very afraid. And I was, but I'm okay. I'm like, if you follow some rules, you're kind of in safe. What I thought. So I thought that I'm like doing good, and like I don't know. I don't have any trauma. A lot of people were panicking around, but I was quite optimistic. And only when I crossed the border, and I didn't want to leave Kyiv, it was really hard to leave my family there. But I was just sitting, and I didn't have a job. I couldn't help anyhow. So I thought maybe I will be more useful here. And I decided, okay, I need like to go. It was really hard to to leave Ukraine, and I felt really guilty to live in Ukraine in this time. Like before, I wanted to come back to Denmark, but not in time of war, because I felt like betraying my people and my family. And only when I crossed the border, I understood like how traumatized I was. And only when you are in peace place, your trauma started to coming out. And now I cannot have plans. And in the beginning, it was so overwhelming. I had so many questions here in Denmark, what I should do, when I should come back. I wanted to come back to Ukraine like in 2 months. And also so many questions here, how to be integrated in the society. You have a lot of rules. And it was so like too much. So I decided just maybe step by step, just decide like this small, I have this small question, I should answer it just right now. Don't look too much ahead because we don't know what will happen. I'm worried about also about Kyiv, for example. Maybe it can be bombed by like nuclear weapon. Nobody knows what will happen. We are hoping that it's that everything will be okay, and the war will end as soon as possible. But what how it changed? Maybe later I could recognize it. But for now, it just live this day in the moment, because before I was regretting a lot about past or maybe about future, but not living in present. And now, like more like be present. And even though it's hard when somebody is dying there, and I'm here in like a safe, good place, but still I try to live and be useful as you can. It's just my story. I hope I answered.
Yeah, but I could agree on it. I never lived such present life as now. And the level of what is bad in your life now is there. So everything that's happening every day, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's only one thing important in your life. It's to be with your beloved ones in the safe space. Other things doesn't matter at all. Like how much money you have, where you're living, it doesn't matter if it's a safe place and you're close to your beloved ones. And it's not the words, it's not just a word for me, it's like my mindset right now. I truly believe in it.
Thanks very much. Yes?
I would like to ask the pictures we saw of the farm houses. Where in Ukraine were they? Where in this village that was bombed, where was that situated? Yeah, okay. The pictures of the bombed houses and the bombed villages we saw, where was it? Where is it in Ukraine? North or south or west or east or?
Okay, who would like to take this one?
It's actually south, east, north. I mean, it's everywhere. It's in the Kherson, it's the south, like 3 hours from my city. And the one Ecovillage completely destroyed there. Rainbow Ecovillage, it's called. Then in the near Kyiv region and near Kharkiv, close to south. So it's going on everywhere, and sometimes it's just a bomb falling because they made a mistake, or they just old rockets and they falling everywhere. They couldn't control it. Or sometimes your home standing in the battlefield, because then Ukrainian and Russian army, they have fight there. That was in the
Priluki.
near Priluki.
North.
In the north. So you never know where it's gonna happen, because like yesterday they bombed western Ukraine, Lviv, some rural areas there. So it's happening everywhere right now.
Aaron, you had a question.
It is quite overwhelming, and it is difficult to find some reasonable questions in this situation. But I would like to hear what are your feeling about the Russian, the Russian young men who come to your country is the hate the only feeling, or is there something else?
Yeah. So we have different feelings because we are different individuals, and I would say, just for myself, for my part, it is not hatred. I'm just built that way. I feel sadness, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed to see that in the 21st century, on the verge of environmental crisis, we still fight because of such, I don't know, strange reasons that even we Ukrainians are not always capable of defining. So yeah, sadness and disappointment from my side.
I want to add also, like, it started from the new year when everyone started to talk, it would happen, it would happen, it could happen, Russia can attack Ukraine. And everyone in Ukraine was like, are you serious? Why? And even in these talks, like that came from the news every day, we traveled from south to western Ukraine, to the Kyiv. I didn't hear any hate towards Russian before the invasion.
Such an impossible thing.
Yeah, just, it's impossible. They are living their life. Why would they come to us? So we, as I think, it's of course my personal feeling about Ukraine before the war, but we were so focused on our own development. We had so much nice beginnings, like the green organizations, then the digitalization of our laws and everything. We just had, in the winter, we just had Gen gathering in Kyiv. And we felt so inspired by all these beginnings. I mean, no one thought about Russians before. There was no hate. We were focused on ourselves. And now I see a lot of hate because you cannot understand. You cannot understand it with your mind. Why? Then the hate is coming because you just, those feelings, they need to find an exit from your body. I think for a lot of people, the hate is the way to express this energy. It's not the best way, and personally, me, I'm working with it. I'm just trying to recognize, is it here, is it in my body, and then just again focus on my things. But now it's a lot of hate towards them because we couldn't understand why.
We had a meeting at the Roskilde Festival, and they said, let's bring the Ukrainian activists together with some Russian activists on the stage. And Olisha wrote, after that question came from the Roskilde Festival, a long post on Facebook saying why Ukrainians cannot stand next to Russians on a stage. And we sent that one to the Roskilde Festival. I don't know, Olisha, if you want to comment on it shortly.
Oh, it's long. Yeah, in one way for me it was very surprised when Russia invaded Ukraine. I couldn't believe because, yeah. But in another way, because I was interested in history, so I read a lot of books and about like literature history. So I knew that it's not something that like happened just suddenly. It was our like war between Russians and Ukrainians for more than 30 years at least, but I think even more than 300 years, because of our history, they never recognized us as nation and tried to erase us as nation, our culture, our language, and now this war is just another step of this war, of this like long history war. So, like in one way, for me, it's not a surprise, and I could see that even like some liberals, some people who are not like against maybe Ukraine, or like liberals, some left-handed, and they against actually like their like Putin. But when question comes to Ukraine, they are so imperialistic. They cannot recognize that Ukraine is like different. It's another country. It's another nation. They say we are part of their nation, so they believe that we are there. And I could see how I actually was watching it through maybe like during this 10 years or even more when Putin came, and I saw how he started to close down some media, how he started to like suppress people, and I was so surprised that people were not doing like they're doing nothing. In Ukraine, we would battle for it. We will go strike. We will like protect our freedom. And there they were just silenced. And I knew that it will be like big problem, but I never knew that why we should like struggle, because Russians couldn't fight for their freedom. And I have relatives in Russia, my like aunt, and for me it was so big surprise after I knew that she was also brainwashed, but I also decided, oh, maybe like how to say, I was not taking serious that she was brainwashed. And when the war, like this big war, because before also we had in 2014 invasion of Russia, and when this big war started, and I had talked with her, I tried to share some information with her, but she was saying like, we are like Ukrainians guilty that Russia bombs us, because otherwise maybe we will invade Russia, or because we have some laboratories, like some fakes that I cannot imagine that they can believe in it, but she believed in it. And I tried to share with her, okay, but your relatives, we are your relatives. My mom is her sister. Why you don't believe like your relatives? Bombs are falling down on Kiev. Here we are hiding in shelters. And she couldn't believe. She said, no, our like Russians, we are not, how to say, we are bombing only military places, not civilians, not other buildings. But I said, no, like I could see it, how it's bombed in here, near where I live. It's not military place. And she just refused to believe. So it's like, I think that the whole nation actually is guilty because they were silent, and they still silent now. And like the most brave of them, they were so little, and they should like escape from the country because they were imprisoned or they have to escape. But the most of nation was silent, and they just accepted this prison for themselves. And that's why they're guilty for this war in Ukraine. Even those who say we are against this war, yes, but now you cannot do, like you can do nothing now because it's already too late. And actually, I also expected that they will do more even now, because a lot of people, they are still against the war, but many of them so afraid, and many of them decide to believe in all these fakes instead of finding some like real news, because it's easier, because you cannot take responsibility that it's your like responsibility because of this war. It's easier just to say no. If Russia will not invade Ukraine, then Ukraine will invade Russia. Just to say this mantra, and then like you are blocking and you are not thinking about it because it's like so huge. So maybe that's what my feelings about it.
I can say shortly that we do have some of our people from Gen Russia who are definitely against the war and against Putin, and some of them had to leave their country because of being against. Some of them write to us and say, hey, we are now in this country. Will you be able to receive us in Denmark? Can we still be a partner to LØS in Denmark in a training that was to come on this summer, funded by the European Union, where both Ukraine and Russia were partners. So it's a dilemma, actually. We had one Ecovillage in Denmark who said we would like to be a host for Ukrainians, but also for Russians, who had to flee their country. So there are a lot of nuances in this, a lot of discussions and a lot of feelings that still has to be taken.
I read recently that over 300,000 have left Russia, especially well-educated people who don't see any future for themselves. It's going to be a hard blow for Russia. Yeah.
So I just want to speak into the whole, like this question you had about the future, and ask you what is the future for this project, and also in regards to, like, there will be more refugees, also for like due to other reasons, for like environmental, like this environmental crisis that we are having, and I'm thinking like how will we get to a point where we can actually live together on this planet, and like figure out how to basically share what we have. It's a very big question, but it's just, I just want to also bring a bit of like hope into, like it would be nice if we could live all together here.
Anybody like to comment on that?
This feeling of belonging and unity that I feel now towards all the people in Ukraine. I mean, this connection, all the people here in Denmark, all my friends, is so strong. I mean, I feel everyone, and I never felt it before. So I see a lot of, maybe it's not right to say, but I feel and I see a lot of development that's happening during this war. So I really believe that we will grow and we will get so much knowledge and development from it. Like in the forest after the fire, the new life is coming, treated by the destruction. So I feel a lot of potential.
I think about the future of this project, we showed also on our presentation that we are already thinking about future, because people that are now in these eco-villages, they don't have jobs now, and they're also thinking about the future. They don't have money. What savings that they had, they're already spending in these 2 months. So they're also thinking about future, and we are thinking what we will do. And now we try to start these projects with greenhouses. We already started. We're also thinking about teaching people how to make the sustainable businesses, and we also try to launch this. We wanted to collect some money, or maybe like write some grants, to receive some grants to help people start their own businesses. But then this like second wave of refugees came, so we couldn't really start it, because now we are like struggling with food and beds for people, but we're already thinking about it, and also about these common houses that will like more embrace people to be together. So we have also this question. I think this project will develop in something like bigger, from this down base when you need to cover your just basic needs, to something like for your mental growth, and for some also business, and also environment, like some other like bigger projects. And people became friends there, and families there, so they have actually now more people there to do it. So I think I can see big potential in this project.
And this is the question from Camila that we hear every day. What is your strategy?
Yes, but it's very hard to ask people for strategy when they have just received 200 new people who need a bed to sleep in and some food to eat. And I think that's also, I mean, now I'm talking on behalf of Løs in Denmark and all other people in Denmark who have capacity. We need to do a lot of lobbying work in Denmark. We already started, we did meet, we were invited as we were the first civil society actor who actually had already a good partner organization in Ukraine and could work from day one. So we were invited for a meeting with the Ministry of Development in Denmark, and he said, "What do you need?" I said, "We need more money right now." And he doubled our budget from 500,000 to 1 million. He just told CISO and said, "Double it. Support the people who are doing something." I think that was great. That's one. The other thing we told him was, there has to be some bridge funding here, because right now we can get support for, yes, blankets and soups, emergency help, but what about the reconstruction? Can we as civil society actors lobby to also have funding pools so that we can also continue the assistance, continue the Green Road project, and build out these eco-villages, not only the eco-villages, but also influence with eco-village values and eco-village lifestyles in the rebuilding of Ukraine. So I think that's our task also in Løs, to really focus our energy in the future. We understand that in Ukraine right now, they cannot write applications because every day new people are coming, but we can. So I think that's our responsibility also.
Yeah. This is also actually the thing I would like to highlight, the sustainability and the whole eco-village concept. People coming to eco-villages are commonly not the ones who were in the eco circles. They are ordinary people just coming and staying in eco-villages, which are not that popular in Ukraine. Not many people know about them. And they come and they stay and they learn about sustainability, community, ecological mindset, permaculture, all these wonderful things. And they really start to think. They shift their matrix mindset and they start noticing different other things around themselves, not just sleep, work, entertainment, and all the city stuff. And it is very life-changing. And so a war is a tragedy, any war, but it is up to us to see opportunities even in tragedies. And the Green Road project is one of them. It opens new horizons.
Well, very short because we're just out of time. No? Okay. Well, I just think this is a good point to round off with a positive feeling. And one of the things that people may realize is that the eco-villages represent a climate change strategy also. As we've been talking about that for years, but maybe some people are beginning to waken up to it. This is the way we're going to have to live in the future, much more lightly on the ground. And so you're showing the way. And I think it's great to have a positive story in the midst of all the darkness. So thanks very much for coming. And it's 9:30, and those who wish can join me and the others in the next room and have a cup of coffee. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.